Hey, what's up everyone? In this video I wanted to go over my first through hiking gear list. So starting this weekend on Saturday, I'll be starting my first through hike, which will be the GR11, which goes across the Spanish Pyrenees from the Mediterranean Sea to the Atlantic Ocean. In total it's about 820 kilometers. And I'm expecting that it should take me about 35 to 45 days, so I'll end probably somewhere at the beginning of August. For the first 2 weeks, my girlfriend will be joining me, but after that, the last 3 or 4 weeks, I'll be doing everything on my own. I'll be linking out to all the gear as well as how much each individual piece weighs down below in the video description, so make sure to check it out if you're interested in that. Right, so this is how I expect to look out on the trail together with everything. I would say that this is somewhat of a light setup. It is an ultralight, but it's definitely leaning towards ultralight. Without the camera gear, without the water, without the food, everything total weighs I think 8.9 kilograms. Camera gear is another 2.4, and together with food and water and camera gear, I expect to carry at most maybe 15 kilograms, 13 to 15, I'd say. As my main backpack, I'll be using my Osprey Talon 44, which is, it's not an ultralight backpack, but it's very comfortable. I've done a review on this pack and I'll link to it somewhere over here if you're interested in that. And right now, I've got everything packed there except food. And if I'd want to, I could pack it like up to this height, so there definitely is some room left for the food and maybe some other smaller items. I like this pack because it provides a lot of comfort as opposed to a lot of the ultralight packs that come with a flimsy, very small frame. This one has a very solid frame, while still it's very light. I think it's 1.1 or 1.2 kilograms. I know that the newer model is a bit heavier, I think 1.4 or 1.5. So unfortunately you can't get this backpack anymore because it's a bit older model. Sorry guys. I'll be taking with me my Black Diamond Distance FLZ aluminum trekking poles because I've had problems with knees before and trekking poles definitely help with that. Also, I'll be bringing a trekking pole tent, which means that I'll be able to set it up with just this trekking pole and leave the main pole of the tent back home. At the bottom, I've got an ass pad. I haven't used an ass pad before, but it's something that I've always wanted to incorporate in my hiking gear system. So I just bought a regular foam pad from Decathlon and I cut a small piece of it, which I'll be keeping down over here. On each side of the pack, I've got just a regular water bottle. Each one is 1.5 liters in capacity, so in total I will be able to bring about 3 liters of water, which I think is enough. In one of them I'll be keeping my fresh water, and in the second one I'll be keeping my dirty water from springs, which needs to be filtered. For filtering the water, I'll be using my Sawyer micro squeeze, which I've done a review on. It just screws on the dirty water bottle and you can drink from it. You can pour it in the other bottle if you want to. I'll definitely bring a water filter just because it doesn't take any space and it isn't heavy, but theoretically you could live without one on the GR11 because the trail goes up higher mountains and then it goes down in each valley and usually passes through a city. And from what I've read, there supposedly are a lot of freshwater springs available there, so you could theoretically live without a water filter, but I like to carry one just in case. Back here, I'll be carrying my Cicerone GR11 guidebook. It basically shows the directions for the whole trail. It's divided into 47 sections, and each section has a map with all the water sources, with all the springs, with accommodation, all the cities, basically everything, all the points of interest. So this thing is definitely very useful to have. I'll also be downloading a .gpx file on my phone for offline navigating, but I plan on keeping my phone in my pocket as much as I can and hopefully relying only on this guidebook for navigation, but we'll see how that plans out. For organizing everything and keeping my gear dry, I'll be relying on dry sacks as well as Ziploc bags. I won't be using any rain covers for my backpack because usually they don't work and everything gets wet anyway. For my sleeping gear and my clothing, I'll be keeping everything in this larger 25-liter dry sack. I'll be keeping my cooking gear in this red dry sack, my electronics in the blue dry sack. By the way, I won't be relying solely on this dry sack. I have another Ziploc bag inside just in case. And I'll be keeping my food in this yellow one, and my toiletries and my poop kit in basic Ziploc bags. As my main tent, I'll be using my REI Flash Air 1 Ultralight tent, which I've also done a review on. Without the main pole, these are the only poles that I'll need, together with my trekking pole. Without all of that, it weighs just 700 grams and it isn't that expensive either. For comparison, the two-person tent that I'll be bringing towards the beginning of the hike for me and my girlfriend weighs 2.3 or 2.2 kilograms, and this one just 700 grams. So the difference is very, very significant. But yeah, the main idea is that I'll be keeping these two poles towards the side of my backpack, and the rest of the tent just squishes down basically to a small ball, which is very, very packable and doesn't take up much space at all. Now let's open up the largest sack where I keep my sleeping gear and my clothing. The first thing that I have here is my camping pillow. This is the Trichology Aloft 2.0 camping pillow, which is very light. It doesn't take up much space. And yeah, some people think that this is an extra, but if you want a good night's sleep, you definitely need a pillow. I know some people will disagree with me, but yeah, I'd say that you definitely need a camping pillow, and I'll definitely be bringing one. For a towel, I bought this cheap microfiber towel on Decathlon. It's pretty large. I'd say that it should be enough to dry me completely after washing. It doesn't take up much space. It's very light. Yeah, a good buy from Decathlon. I'll be setting aside most of my clothing because I'll show that a bit later in this video. The next thing that I have here is my REI Flash Thermal sleeping pad, which has an R value of 4.7. I think I paid about 150 euros for this sleeping pad, so it isn't the cheapest one, but it also isn't the most expensive sleeping pad. It definitely is very comfortable, it doesn't make much sound when you move, and it's pretty light as well. The next thing that I had in there was my sleeping bag, which is the REI Igneo 17F sleeping bag. So it's rated to, I think, extreme -9 degrees or -7 degrees Celsius, but the most that I've slept in it was about -5, and it wasn't the warmest sleeping bag. It's definitely still warm enough for maybe just below freezing temperatures, maybe -1, -2 degrees Celsius. Over here I have my Toaks titanium pot, which is, I think, 650 milliliters in size. No, it's 750 milliliters in size. It's a very lightweight pot. It isn't the cheapest pot, but it's very light, it's very durable, and I've used it for a long time, and it's my go-to pot. Inside this pot, I'll be keeping my coffee. For this, I used to bring an espresso maker, but it weighs 300 grams, and honestly, I can live without it. If I don't want to be carrying another 300 grams for 45 days just because I like to drink a bit better coffee. This one should do just fine. The next thing that I have here is just a regular towel from IKEA. I could probably switch to a microfiber one, but I don't know, it isn't too heavy, so whatever. This is just for cooking, for cleaning out any wet dishes or whatnot. And in it I keep my titanium spork, which is the Light My Fire titanium spork. Very lightweight, very cheap, a good investment. For drinking my coffee, I'll be using this cheap silicone cup from Amazon, which I bought a year ago, and it's still going strong. For cooking my dinner and my breakfast, I'll be using a gas-powered camping stove, which screws on a regular gas canister. This is a cheap camping stove from Amazon, which is very lightweight. It does the job like just fine, and again, I've used it for a long time, and it's a very good investment actually. It still hasn't broken and works flawlessly. Now, I was thinking about maybe switching to an alcohol stove just because alcohol is a bit easier to find along in those smaller cities, which I'll be going through. But from what I've read online, hopefully I will be able to find gas canisters along the way. I'll be bringing 2 at all times, just because when one runs out, hopefully I can last through the second one until I find a place where I can buy a new one. This is my little bag of electronics. The first thing that I have here is a 20,000 milliamp hour battery from Xiaomi. Over here I have just a regular divider for charging all of my electronics at once, because whenever I'll arrive at a bar or a cafe, I expect that there won't be like 10 different places where I can charge my electronics. Usually there's just 1 or 2. So this is a really helpful thing to have. I'll be bringing my cheap headlamp from Amazon, which I bought for I think 10 euros. 2 adapters for charging my phone and my power bank at the same time, along with some chargers, and also a pair of regular headphones, because I expect that walking 45 days straight in complete silence might get a bit boring, so I might want to listen to some music or some podcasts along the way. I'll be filming everything with my Canon 50D mirrorless camera, which I'm filming on right now, together with the 15 to 45 millimeter wide lens. The wide lens is very useful if you want to capture scenic shots of the mountains, because it captures a lot of the view. And I've tried filming with the kit lens before, but the shots weren't as wide enough. And even though the lens cost about 350 euros, I think it definitely was worth it. For it, I'm using a variable ND filter when filming in the sunlight, which I've got on the camera right now, but it's kept inside this tin can. The cap for the lens. I've got 2 additional batteries for my camera, as well as a charger, 1 additional battery for my GoPro, and a few extra SD cards. In total, I have 512 gigabytes, which hopefully should be enough. I won't be filming in 4K, so I calculated that it should be enough, but we'll see. For capturing the sound, I'll be using the Rode Video Micro microphone, which I've got mounted on the camera right now. A charger for charging my camera batteries, my GoPro Hero 7. I could probably leave it at home because it weighs 200 or 300 grams, but I won't be doing that just because if it's very windy outside, or if I want to capture some very wide shots from my own perspective, then this thing is very, very useful. And another thing that I'll be bringing is the Peak Designs camera capture clip, which basically allows me to keep my camera on my shoulder strap, and if I want to film something very quickly, I just press a button and I'm able to film it right away. For my sunglasses, I'll be bringing my Balloon sunglasses, which I bought for I think 70 euros. I've used them for a long time, and they're basically indestructible. You can bend them. They look good, in my opinion. They provide enough sun protection. They're polarized, and yeah, was definitely a good investment, especially if you're hiking and doing something active, because I used to break my sunglasses all the time, basically, which is why I wanted to invest in these. And over here I have my poop kit. Inside it I have some hand sanitizer, toilet paper, and my Sea to Summit pocket trowel. I'll be bringing some lip balm, just because I'll be hiking in high altitudes and I'll definitely need it. Another thing that I'll definitely need as a northerner is a lot of sunscreen, which I'll definitely be using, because I usually get sunburns very easily. You might be wondering, why am I bringing this large and weird syringe, but actually it's meant for cleaning out the Sawyer micro squeeze water filter. You put it against the clean end, you have to screw this thing off, but basically it gets all of the dirt particles out, because with time the particles get trapped in there and the flow rate worsens quite a lot. So I definitely need to bring this one if I'll be hiking for 45 days. Over here I have some Luco tape. I expect to have a lot of blisters at start, just because I haven't been hiking very actively the last few months, so I'll definitely need to use this one. A toothbrush and a toothpaste. Here I have a gear repair kit, which I'll use to repair any holes in my tent, my sleeping pad, even my sleeping bag as well, if I get any tears, my dawn jacket and other things. It's very, very useful, and I definitely need to bring it with me. a lighter with duct tape just in case anything happens, a needle with thread in case I need to repair my backpack or something, some bandages together with some disinfectant wipes, an emergency blanket, ibuprofen in case I get some headaches. Over here I have some ecological travel soap, which means that you can use it in any water source and supposedly it shouldn't harm any marine life. Like, there aren't a lot of chemicals in it and you can use it to wash yourself as well as your clothes. A Swiss Army knife with a regular knife, with scissors, tweezers, a toothpick, and a wine opener, because I'll probably be drinking some wine, some very cheap Spanish wine. And lastly, some extra Ziploc bags, just because I'll be keeping all of my food sorted inside them, and they definitely aren't durable, so I expect them to break along the way. And lastly, I'll be showing you all of my clothing. On most days, I plan to look something like this, basically. Because I'll be hiking up in higher altitudes and because I'm from Latvia, I'll definitely be wearing a hat if it's very sunny outside. This is just a cheap hat from Decathlon, which I paid 7 or 9 euros, and I think it looks pretty good. Also, it's fully synthetic, so it should be pretty comfortable even if it gets very sweaty. I'll be bringing 2 t-shirts. This one is a fully merino wool t-shirt from Decathlon. It fits me very nicely, it was pretty cheap, and I think it looks pretty good. I went with a merino wool t-shirt just because merino wool doesn't get stinky, and I expect to get very stinky there. And this is my second t-shirt, which is also from Decathlon. I think it was 3 euros or something, and it's fully synthetic. I wanted another t-shirt which isn't merino wool just because merino wool is very, very warm, and if it's very sunny and hot outside, I'll probably be wearing this until this thing gets too stinky and I need to change it to something that doesn't smell, basically. As my sun shirt, which basically means something long sleeve just to not get burns on my arms, because I'm very white, I'll be bringing this long sleeve shirt from Decathlon, which is fully synthetic. It packs down very small, it's very light, it dries instantly, and I think it looks good as well. And also I can use it in the evenings if it gets a bit too chilly. Speaking of chilly, I'll be bringing a dawn jacket, also from Decathlon. You can start to see a pattern emerging here. Decathlon represent. I've had this jacket for a while now. It's the 4 Class 100, I think. And yeah, it's very warm up to just below freezing temperatures. I'll probably be using this in the evenings when I'm up in higher altitudes. And yeah, one good thing about it is that it doesn't weigh almost anything and that it packs down very, very small, so it doesn't take up much space in my backpack. And when it starts raining, I'll be using my Marmot Precip rain jacket, which is a very, very light rain jacket that's fully waterproof. Yeah, it looks something like this. I'll post the exact weight somewhere over there, but I think it was about 300 grams, so it's very, very light. It's 100% waterproof. I've tested that in rain, and yeah, this is the lightest rain jacket that I own. It packs down very small, and in my opinion it also looks kinda okay, which are the main reasons why I chose this rain jacket specifically. If it gets too chilly or too windy outside, I'll also be bringing my North Face hat, as well as some gloves. For my underwear, I went with 2 pairs of regular synthetic boxers from Decathlon. On most days, I'll be wearing these cheap running shorts from Decathlon, which I paid like 5 euros or something. And they're very breathable, they fit me very nicely, they dry almost instantly. So yeah, on most days I'll be wearing these. Now, I won't be bringing long trousers. Instead, I'll just put on these thermal bottoms, which I bought from Amazon for about 20 euros a year ago, and it should keep me warm enough. The only downside is that whenever I want to put them on, I have to take off my shorts, put on the thermal bottoms, and then put on my shorts again, which can be a bit annoying, but I'd rather do that instead of carrying another pair of long trousers basically. For preparing for this trail, I did a lot of research on socks because I knew that socks are really important if you're walking very long distances. Before this, I used to wear cheaper merino wool socks that I got off Amazon, and they were good. They definitely were much better than regular synthetic socks, but they weren't perfect. I did get some blisters from them. And basically from all the research that I found, I should have gone with Smart Wool or Darn Tough, which are basically two of the most popular choices out there. So I ended up not going with Smart Wool or Darn Tough just because of a single video that I watched from Chase Mountains. I'll link to that video down below, by the way, if you're interested. Essentially, what he said in that video is that these are the best socks out there, basically, and that guy has a lot of experience, so I just trusted him. I've worn them 3 times now, not these ones, not the longer ones, but the ones that I'm wearing right now. And I can definitely say that they are very good. They feel very comfortable, and I haven't gotten any blisters from them right from the get-go. I started wearing them with my new hiking shoes that I bought for this trip, and I haven't gotten any blisters whatsoever. And the first hike, I was hiking 15 kilometers, the second 20, and the third 20. So I wasn't starting with short hikes. I was taking a pair of new socks, new hiking shoes, and walking 15 kilometers, and that resulted in no blisters. So I guess they're good. But yeah, what makes them so great supposedly is that they have silver threads in them. I don't know if you can tell that on the camera, but they do like sparkle a bit, and you can definitely see the silver threads there. What the silver threads do is basically make the sock more antimicrobial, which reduces the chances of you getting any blisters. So the plan is to wear the shorter ones when I'm out hiking during the day and the longer ones during the night, or if it gets too cold outside. But yeah, again, I'll post a review after I finish this hike. And lastly, I wanted to talk about my trail runners. Now, when I was preparing for this hike, I thought that I would buy the Salomon Pro XA V8 trail runners, which supposedly are very comfortable and durable hiking shoes with very good thread. But the issue with them was that they cost 130 euros. But before ordering them, I went to Decathlon just because I needed to buy other pieces of gear there. And I went past the trail running section and I noticed this shoe, which cost just 65 euros, which is half the price of what I would pay for these Salomon shoes. I tried them on and they felt very comfortable. The thread on them is very great. They're pretty light, they're very cheap, they're comfortable. It's basically everything that I was looking for half the price. So yeah, I thought I'd buy these instead of the Salomons and see how they work out, because if you can get the same shoe for basically half the price, why not? But you know, we'll see. I'll wear it for 800 kilometers and I'll tell you if this is a good shoe or not. But yeah, in terms of gear, that's basically it. I'll be starting my hike on June 21st, and if you want to see how am I doing there, go follow me on Instagram because I'll be posting daily stories there on my hike. I'll be making a series from this through hike. I'm planning on maybe posting 4 to 6 videos, but that will probably happen only in August when I return home and I get the chance to edit them. But mid-hike, after 2 or 3 weeks of hiking, I'll be posting another Q&A and maybe a quicker update type of video. So if you have any questions from the hike, anything about gear, about the hike, about GR11, about Spain in general, because I used to live there, you can post that down in the comments basically, and I'll answer them in the next video, which will be after 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye.